You are now besties with the girl you used to bully.
All I want is for Shoko to like herself.
I like to say I've watched plenty of movies and TV shows that have tackled themes of bullying, mental health, and personal growth in many different gratifying ways. Shows such as Degrassi and Cobra Kai display just how things like bullying can really impact the victim and how that trauma causes people to become bullied themselves. Even though these shows do a good job at exploring this, neither can compare to the masterful storytelling and realistic characterization of the 2017 anime movie A Silent Voice. Okay, Errol, we're going non-battle anime today. That's not your usual MO. Well, Professor, just like the characters in the movie, I have range. Although you won't find any physical battles in this movie, what you will have is battles with yourself to hold back the feels that you will get from watching this anime. The movie takes you down a roller coaster of emotions from anger, sadness, and guilt to heartwarming moments that will bring back your faith in humanity. Wow, sounds intense. It is intense. And one character in particular makes you feel all of those emotions throughout the story, and that is Shoya Ishida. Shoya is one of the main protagonists and is a bully turned outcast that is detestable when he is young in elementary school, but would later throughout the story become more and more relatable. With his moments of guilt of his past wrongs, his attempts to correct his wrongs, and his battles with social anxiety, any one of these things is something that all of us can sympathize with. Unless you are Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. But for the rest of us, you have at one point in your life committed a wrong to another and may feel guilty about your past behavior. This can make it hard for you to figure out how to make amends to the other party due to the shame of your past self. I can relate to this, just like many of you. I wasn't the best version of myself in grade school and had a really low filter that could, even with the best of intentions, cause unintentional harm. Even though I'm many years removed from that version of myself, I still feel shame and guilt for some of the things I thought or said back then. Because boy, when I look back at some of those opinions I had in school, yeah, they were wild. So, what were you doing and saying back then, Errol? Don't worry about it. I changed and that other version of me died when I grew up, so yeah, rebrain. All right, you're a pretty cool guy now, but I'm watching you, buddy. Like I said, Professor, I changed from back when I was a kid, just like how the man of the hour Shoya changed in the movie. So for those who don't know who I am, I'm Errol, and this is my space. So take a seat and relax as we discuss how bullying can impact its victims and what are the things needed for a former bully to find his own path to redemption. First, let's start off with, wait, hold up, big bro, you've been quiet this whole time. And aren't you at least going to do the spoiler warning? What's going on? Look, spoilers, no spoilers. It really doesn't matter to me. This ain't my type of thing, bruh. Like, if there ain't hands being thrown, I ain't trying to be a part of this. That's a shame, big bruh. But I think once you hear more about the characters, you'll be more interested than you think. Yeah, I doubt that, bruh. But whatever. Hey, Errol gonna be spoiling for you from this point on, so watch, you don't watch, it really don't matter. Thank you. Like I was saying earlier, let's start with the beginning of the movie. We are first introduced to Shoya while he is in elementary school, and at this point in the movie, we see he is like many young boys around that age. Brash, a bit mischievous, and likes to roughhouse with his friends. He's also friends with a few of his girl classmates, and he seems like your normal class clown. But then one day, this sweet little girl named Shoka transfers to his class, and during her introduction, we find out Shoka is not your ordinary girl. She's deaf. Yes, she is deaf, and now we all know why the title of the movie is called A Silent Voice, because it's silent if you can't hear anything. Shoka would use her notebook to write down her words to communicate with the class and try to make friends, and everything seems okay Until one day, another character named Naoka is reading in front of the class when she is rudely called out by the teacher for reading like a 5-year-old. He would later choose Shoka to read out loud, which sounds like how you expect a deaf person to sound when reading. The teacher stops her and tells her it's good, and Naoka, frustrated by this perceived special treatment, whispers out, "You gotta be kidding," which, to be fair, Naoka's being frustrated is a normal response I expect from a 12-year-old, and Shoko doesn't sound the best reading, but again, she is deaf. So what's really your excuse for reading like a 5-year-old, Naoka? I know it seems like I'm coming at this little girl Naoka a little bit, but trust me, there's reasons. Especially when we get further into the movie. Shoya, sitting next to Naoka, overhears her frustration, which puts a battery in his back, leading him to mock how Shoka sounds when reading.
Why would he do that? She's so nice and she's just trying to be friends with everybody.
Honestly, throughout the movie, it just seems like Shoya is just really immature and trying to seek the attention of others in his class by picking on the girl who is different. And if it just stopped there, I would be like, kids can be assholes, but I don't believe this is out of the norm. However, throughout the movie, this boy Shoya is a legitimate terrorist to this little girl. He hoses the girl with water, trips her with a broomstick, writes multiple harsh words in her notebook, and throws away multiple hearing aids that will help her hear some sounds. All for no reason, just because he sees her as an easy target to get his yucks from the other kids.
Jesus, what's wrong with this little psychopath?
Like I said before, Professor, just for the attention of his peers. Because to be a good class clown, something or somebody has to be the butt of the joke. And unfortunately for Shoko, she was it. What makes these bullying events even sadder is that after multiple times he bullies her, Shoko would put a smile on her face and ask him, "Could we be friends?"
Oh my gosh, she's such a sweet angel. And that boy's the Antichrist.
Well, Professor, as a wise man once said, what goes around comes around. At the height of Shoya's bullying, he rips out both hearing aids out of her ear, and for the first time, he was not greeted with laughter, but instead gasping shocks, because this time when he ripped out her aids, she was bleeding out of her right ear. The next day, the principal comes to class looking to reprimand whoever has been bullying Shoka. His teacher calls him out and then gets Naoka to tell that Shoya has been bullying Shoko. Shoya starts looking confused and disheveled by the accusations, not because he didn't bully her, but because he wasn't the only one doing so. I didn't really speak on this because the video is mostly pretty much about Shoya, but Naoka is almost just as bad as Shoya with bullying Shoko, and many other classmates such as Nazuki participated in the bullying of Shoka too. Also, that teacher who called out Shoya should be fired himself. Even though Shoya and the other kids were her bullies, the teacher did absolutely nothing to help and was aware of everything going on. Matter of fact, I don't even recall him reprimanding Shoya once in the movie. Shoya is a kid, so even though I don't excuse what he has done, I understand that his mind does not comprehend right and wrong like an adult. The teacher, however, is an adult and honestly should be getting most of the blame, but instead Shoya is the scapegoat. This causes Shoya to start snitching on all the other kids, which would later cause the teacher and all of his classmates to turn on him. After Shoya gets home, he receives a stern talking to by his mother.
Wait, is that it? I believe in gentle parenting, but sometimes you might have to get all granddad from the boondocks.
What's the bell?
Maybe in the manga there was more discipline, but unfortunately I only saw the movie and never read the manga. I know, blasphemous. We would see a clip of Shoya's mom getting money from an ATM to give to Shoko's mom, because that boy had thrown away 8 hearing aids and caused permanent damage to Shoka's right ear, so that doesn't come cheap. We later see the mothers walk off, and when Shoya sees his mom come back, she's bleeding from the earlobe.
Oh, wow. Seems like Shoko's mom's a little feisty.
Well, it's not clear if Shoka's mom did it or if Shoya's mom tried to make amends by causing harm to herself. But Shoya's mom isn't the only person receiving physical harm due to this situation. The next few scenes, we see Shoya, who was once the entertaining bully that kept the class laughing, is now the new outcast. Just like how he used to hold Shoka with water, the roles have switched for him and he is now the one being hosed by his former friends. After this, Shoya walks into the classroom soaked and sees none other than Shoya cleaning his desk. This pisses off Shoya because in his head, she is the cause of all of his misfortune. And even though he begins to berate her, she just looks back at him smiling. Shoya's mind cannot comprehend why someone who he has been so terrible to just keep being so nice to him. Due to Shoya being an immature little boy, he gets angry at her, probably believing that she is being fake nice. Since his ego is already bruised from being the new target of bullying, he can't take any more hits to his ego from someone who he once treated less than showing any hint of kindness to him. So Shoya, being the extremely immature boy he is, does not have the capability to express his emotions through words and instead chooses violence and proceeds to shove Shoka. Now, this time Shoka finally had enough and she has an all my life I had to fight moment and start putting them paws on that boy. See, finally he got his little ass beat. Hold on, big bro. I thought you said you didn't care for this one. Like I said earlier, I'm here for the hands to be thrown, especially if it's for a little snotty-nosed brat like that. Fair. You did say you'd only watch if there's hands being thrown, and in this instance, those hands being thrown felt so satisfying. I would like to say we all had a bully in our lives at some point. Maybe it was that overgrown neighborhood kid, the mean girls who hating on you for no reason, your boss, or even Bob and Karen at the office who peaked in high school and trying their best to relive their glory bullying days in adulthood. Either way, you more than likely experienced this, and since you've encountered this before, you probably get personal satisfaction of seeing the bully finally getting his just desserts. Shoya deserves all the bullying he receives, right? An eye for an eye. Down with King Joffrey. Okay, maybe he wasn't that bad, but still, you get what I'm saying. After Shoka beats up Shoya, we find out that Shoko has transferred out of the class, and this will be the last time Shoya will see her. See, Shoka's smart. She left right after she got her get back. You see, you can't be staying around waiting for somebody else to get their lid back too. Even if Shoka didn't leave, I believe Shoya wouldn't even try it. At this point, he is so down bad, it would just make it worse to try for round 2 and possibly lose to a girl again.
I wish I could say he didn't deserve this, but boy, he sure did at least earn it.
I think we all can agree that Shoya was the reason behind his downfall. Even though other kids participated in the bullying, Shoya was the leader of it. And if he never bullied Shoka, none of this would be happening. Now, if this was an ordinary movie, we would stop here with a satisfying feeling of the irredeemable bully getting his just desserts and leave feeling a sense of righteousness in our hate for Shoya. But this isn't an ordinary movie, and this part does not even make up a quarter of it. The real meat of the movie begins after a 6-year time skip with Shoya being 17 years old in his 3rd year of high school. When you first see Shoya, he is like a different person personality-wise. When he was in the 6th grade, he was brash, arrogant, and would speak without thinking, but now, 6 years later, he walks with a lack of confidence. When he speaks to people, he's looking down, like he's ashamed to even look someone in their eyes. It makes you wonder, how did a person go from this to this? Well, the answer is, during those 6 years, Shoya was being bullied constantly, and people like his former friend would tell other kids not to hang out with him because he was an awful person that bullied a deaf girl. Betrayed by his friends and being prevented from making new ones due to his past, during the 6 years, he was ostracized to extreme loneliness. He had not one friend, and at some point, he stopped being made fun of. Instead, people would just act like he wasn't even there. Due to this, he made himself small, and on top of that, he felt shame for how he treated Shoka when he was younger. To Shoya, He deserved all of this because he was a terrible person. So how can he even have the right to experience happiness? The years of guilt and bullying has caused so much self-loathing that he developed social anxiety, fearing that everyone is judging him for his past. This is highlighted in the movie with X's being drawn over the face of other people who he feels ashamed to talk to, and judging by the amount of X's on people's faces, that's damn near everybody. Shoya's clearly depressed. So depressed that he's decides that he needs to make amends to the people he inconvenienced the most. He starts this by giving his mother money for the debt she built up from paying Shoko's mom, and apologizing to Shoko for his actions as a bully. After this, he plans to perform an act of self-deletion.
Oh my gosh.
Well, if someone is dealing with that level of depression, no one can beat them up more than themselves. Also, I want to say before I go on that what Shoya is doing is a classic sign of someone getting ready with planning this act. He is always appearing tired, increased anxiety. He is isolated all the time and gives all his money away that he's made. If you or another person you know displays these signs or have thoughts of self-harming, please call 988. This is the crisis hotline that is available 24/7 to speak with someone. Unfortunately for Shoya, the hotline was not called, but fortunately for Shoya, things do start to change, and it begins when he finds his old classmate and former victim, Shoko. Shoya, after all this time, has learned sign language so he could properly apologize to Shoka when he finally sees her. Due to his guilt, he has been searching for Shoka for years. One day he locates the sign language learning center she goes to and goes up to greet her. Shoka is surprised to see her former terrorist, but doesn't seem to hold any grudges. Shoya begins to display his newfound sign language skills, which leaves Shoka pleasantly surprised. Shoya then signs to Shoka if he and her could be friends.
Wow, isn't that something?
That boy is still enough. I can understand the hostility. I mean, Shoya was causing this poor little girl enough childhood trauma that will keep some therapists well paid. But I'm not gonna lie. This moment gives me a little bit of glee to see this, especially when you see Shoka's reaction. This is the thing she always wanted, just to be friends with Shoya. And you can see how elated she is because she starts to tear up from her overwhelming happiness. During this time, Shoka is not the only relationship that starts to bloom for him. Shortly after his reunion with Shoka, he is walking past a group of other students when a random kid from his class is getting his bike stolen. Shoya, against his hesitation, comes to the boy's aid and offers up his bike instead. Later on, that same young man he helped will come back to find Shoya and return his bike that he found dumped off in a rice field. During this encounter, Shoya begins to shed some of his social anxiety and begins to look at the young man in his face, causing the X to fall off, symbolizing Shoya letting himself be worthy enough to interact with another student. For the first time in a long time, Shoya is actually having a positive interaction with someone from his school. He finds out the boy name is Toma, and he actually sits behind him in class, which further tells you how wrapped up Shoya was in his guilt and feeling unworthy that he didn't even recognize a guy that sat right behind him in class. This moment leads him to a new friendship with Toma, and probably one of his strongest throughout the movie. Shoya would also even build a relationship with Shoka's younger sister, who at first despised Shoya for, come on, obvious reasons. Respect is only earned, never given. Hey, Shoya definitely had to earn that from her because she was making it hard for him to reach Shoka. And to be real, good for her. What sibling wouldn't feel some type of way about the person who caused their sister mental and physical trauma? I'll be trying to get it back in blood too. But this doesn't stop Shoya from trying to build a connection with her. Time after time during this redemption arc of Shoya's, he displays that he is a different person. And eventually, Shoka's sister sees it too. She would eventually come to accept Shoya, but their mom, on the other hand, let's just say it takes a little bit more time.
I remember you. You're Shoko's mom.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
I'm smacking you too if you cost me 8 hearing aids, bro.
Well, you got one there.
Hey man, nobody said the path to forgiveness would be easy. Shoya at this point has been committed to right his wrongs and has also helped Shoka connect with the only real friend she had in the 6th grade. Shoya is on a roll. He has been making the effort in his new friendship with Shoka to the point that she starts to catch feelings for him. And has a failed attempt at confessing her love to him. Unfortunately for Shoko, it fails because she tries to confess to him by speaking out the words instead of signing, but her diction wasn't the best, causing Shoya to misinterpret her words, which will lead to Shoko running off in embarrassment and Shoya looking confused. By this point in the movie, Shoya has done a lot to earn his forgiveness from Shoya by making amends and displaying, not by words, but by his actions, that he is remorseful for the behavior he displayed as a child. Not only has Shoya forgiven him, but even us, the audience, by this point in the movie, might have as well. But one person in particular though may not have forgiven Shoya fully yet. Someone who is probably even more important to earn forgiveness from than Shoka. That someone is Shoya himself. You see, even though Shoya has made strides in his character since the beginning of the film with building relationships, there are still X's on majority of the people around him, indicating he still feels that judgment of himself that he is projecting onto everyone else. His social anxiety is still there, limiting his ability to connect with the world around him. This is further realized when Shoya and his new gang of friends go to the amusement park for just a day of fun. Everything appears that this will be just one big happy day until we see none other than Shoko's other elementary school terrorist, Naoka. Hey, someone get this bird up out of here. Yep, good old Naoka arrives, and this actually isn't the first reunion of Shoya, Shoko, and Naoka. I skipped past this before, but they had ran into each other earlier in the movie, and Naoka was still on the same mean girl-ish with Shoka, but this time, Shoya wasn't allowing it. Naoka was hurt by this because she has feelings for him since the 6th grade, which causes her to undermine their friendship and make fun of his attempts of making amends with Shoko. Now, fast forward back to the amusement park, and we now have Naoka running up to Shoko being fake as hell, acting like they are long lost friends. Shoya, like me, is now looking at this situation like, what is this fake chick doing here? Although Naoko's fake self has joined in on the festivities, it seems like everything is going well. Shoya is finally remembering what it's like to have friends, and for the first time in forever, he has a genuine expression of happiness.
Wow, despite him being a little miscreant at the beginning of the movie, I am elated to see that he can finally experience this type of joy.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't last long because Naoko has the bright idea of bringing Shoya to the food stand that his former friend, later bully Kazuki, is working at. This causes Shoya to relive his past memories, which causes him to go back to that boy who felt unworthy of friendship at the beginning of the time skip. His social anxiety reawakens and those X's start popping back up on people's faces. When Naoka tries to explain herself, Shoya's social anxiety has taken over and he begins to speak with his head down. He informs Naoka that she has stepped out of line, making him see his bully again. Shoya, disparaged from the encounter, starts to realize that he might have made Shoya feel the same way when he showed up out of nowhere in front of her after all these years. This makes his guilt return and he begins to sulk, burying his head in his lap like if he wished no one could see his existence. Then here goes Naoka silly behind, comes to do her version of consoling and tells Shoya that they are the same. Then proceeds to blame Shoko for all that's happened to their former friend group breaking up. Shoya refutes this claim because he understands the word accountability and says he was the one who caused this because if he never bullied Shoko, he would never be in a situation where he had to snitch on the class to cover his own butt. And this is the reason that Shoya is right. They are not the same. Sure, Shoya was a little devious brat, but he has tried to make amends to the point that he learned sign language to apologize to the girl he once bullied. Unlike Naoka, who, when she first saw this girl, she tries to bully her again like they were still 11 years old. While Shoya has grown up, Naoka has just grown into a bird. And this is further displayed after the conversation because she wants to get back at the girl who has ruined her man that does not even want her by getting Shoko to ride on the Ferris wheel. During this Ferris wheel ride, it is revealed to Shoya through Shoko's little sister camera that was left on the record because Shoya's sister knows an op when she sees an op. Reveals the convo between Shoko and Naoko. Naoko berates Shoko on how she is the reason Shoya doesn't have friends anymore and tells her to stop being fake and just admit she hates her. Shoya retorts back with a gut-wrenching response.
You're wrong. I don't hate you. I hate myself.
See, this is why I got sisters to take care of birds like her. I know how y'all feel. To see that happen is crazy. And you could tell by the way the camera pans on Shoya, it just makes him feel worse. This feeling of self-deprecation continues to grow when it is revealed through Miki annoying behind that Shoko used to be bullied by Shoya. Yeah, screw Miki. Later, Miki tries to apologize. And let me tell you, it was not a good apology. Matter of fact, she blames him for the call out. This obviously doesn't go well, which causes an argument with the whole friend group. Shoya falls into a depressive state and begins to blame himself for everything. He then starts to say harsh words to everyone except Shoya and her sister, driving them all away. Now, the words he was saying were hurtful, but to Miki and Naoka, it was warranted. After this, we see Shoya spending most of his time with Shoko and her sister. This deepens his relationship with the family to the point that he was invited to Shoya's mom B-Day celebration at the house.
Oh wow, a lot of progress here.
Seriously, last time we saw her, she was on some other stuff.
What is the 5 fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
This progress with the family leads Shoya to be invited to see the fireworks with Shoko's sister and mother. During the fireworks, we get this intimate moment between Shoka and Shoya that makes you realize just how close they have become during this time. Shoko tells Shoya she needs to leave early and begins to head back to her house. Before she gets too far, Shoya signs to her, "See you later," but Shoko gives a strange response and signs back to him, "Thank you." Shoya is a little bewildered by this, but doesn't think too deep about it. Suddenly, Shoka's sister asks Shoya if he could head back to their house to retrieve her camera. Shoya heads over to their residence, and when he enters it, it's dark like no one is home. He calls for Shoko, but no answer. Once he finds the camera, he looks off to the balcony and sees Shoka is out there. He is relieved to see her, but then he notices her getting on top of the edge of the balcony and is looking like she is about to jump. Shoya begins crying out to her and runs over frantically. Oh! Next we see is Shoya's holding Shoko's arm for dear life. He prays for the strength to pull her up and starts to make deals that if he is able to save her, he will begin to connect with people. After this, he is able to pull her up, but in the process of saving her life, he would lose footing and fall off the balcony himself.
Jesus, Harold, this is too much.
Luckily, he falls into shallow water to break his fall, so it doesn't automatically kill him, but it does leave him in a comatose state. During his time in the coma, there was some more character growth for Shoko and many reconciliations between other characters. But to Shoya, he is out until one melodramatic night, Shoko is crying over a bridge. This is sensed by Shoya and he immediately wakes up from his coma and begins to run out to his waifu. I know, a bit cheesy, but hey, it's a rom-dram and at some point the cheese was going to happen. Despite the cheese, this reunion has earned its emotional climax, where we have an intimate moment between the protagonists with them bearing their feelings. This conversation ends with Shoya asking Shoko to teach him how to live, and Shoko responds and signs back, "Promise." Man, I can't even cap, bro. This time beautiful.
Let it all out, big bro. Thugs cry too.
This was a beautiful scene. But this isn't the end yet for our guy Shoya. In the final minutes of the movie, we see Shoya and the game back together with all of them celebrating his return from his comatose state. Everyone is sorry in their own way for everything that happened. Even Naoka, who tries in her own way to connect with Shoko, but signing a moron to her, which brings Shoko joy that Naoka would learn some sign to call her a moron, but in a friendly banter type of way, which teaches us that even a bird can also try to seek redemption. Shoya, who keeps up with the promise he made on the balcony to himself, asks everyone if they all can go to the festival. The scene shifts over to Shoya walking around with his friends at the festival, and for the first time in a long time, he's holding his head up high. As he looks, the X's fall off of everyone's faces. Instead of making himself smaller to feel non-existent to the world, he is now openly letting himself be part of the world. He now is seeing and listening to the voices of people around him. He is finally experiencing the beauty of human connection. This leads him to breaking down crying tears of joy for being able to conquer his social anxiety and finally forgiving himself. While watching the movie, it made me reflect and question, how good am I at forgiving? Don't get me wrong, I don't believe one has to forgive someone when the perpetrator does not show any remorse for what they have done. But what about if they truly are remorseful? Am I a hypocrite? Shoya had a similar feeling with Kazuki by being dismissive to the idea of reconciling with him until he realized that he was asking for forgiveness from Shoko for the same thing Kazuki did to him. This realization is the same one that makes me think that at times me and the rest of society have a hard time with accepting that people can change, and we hold on to that version of that person that caused us harm. We should always make sure that we reprimand bad behavior, but we should also allow room for growth. Working on yourself and actually seeing the errors of your ways is something that is required if someone is seeking true forgiveness. However, you don't want to take it to the point of having so much guilt that you fall into a state of self-loathing. Self-loathing keeps you stuck and does not allow you the strength to carry on the acts necessary for seeking forgiveness. It takes strength to look at yourself and learn from your past mistakes, to live with those memories of the past so you won't repeat in the future. How can you confront your demons if you're stuck in self-deprecation? The movie proves this because Shoya is at his best when he is active in seeking his redemption and is at his lowest when he is in a self-loathing depressive state. This movie gives me hope that people can change. You don't have to be defined by your worst moments. You can become a better version of yourself that is here to help others instead of harming them. Even Naoka herself, by the end of the movie, is beginning to start her own path of making amends. If this movie has taught me anything, it is that the story doesn't have to end at your worst, but can be continued at your best. Hopefully throughout the video, you were able to learn something from Shoya's path to redemption and apply these lessons to your own lives. As always, thank you for making it to the end of the video, and please like and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully I got to entertain you or help you kill some time. Again, I'm Errol, and you're now exiting my space. See y'all next time.